Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be ranking all of the Star Wars movies from worst to best. Now the reason for this, change of video, is because obviously I can't do, album reviews at the moment. So I just thought of, some other type of content for right now. So I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna rank the Star Wars movies. Anyway. So yeah. So with that, let's begin. The worst Star Wars movie is the only one I don't actually own. And that's Rise of Skywalker. I think it's an absolute mess for many reasons. First off, they try way too hard to make it a nostalgia trip. It's like, oh, you remember the Emperor? Oh, he's back. Oh, you remember Lando and all these other characters? They're back as well. Oh, you remember all these cool, battles in these starships? Oh, that's back as well. There's so much thrown into that just for the nostalgia purposes, that it just feels like it's just a cash grab. The story is also very wonky and just ridiculous and just not really that well thought out. And then the end, they kill Palpatine off way too easily and way too quickly. They hyped up Palpatine's return for a while before this movie was released, and I was extremely excited, but they just randomly killed him off way too quickly and way too easily. He doesn't even get a lot of screen time. Also, the movie was delayed for a long time, mainly due to, for whatever reason, Kathleen Kennedy did not like what the hell they did before. I guess she was pissed off for some bizarre reason and told them to reshoot a lot of the movie and to do different, just a completely different ending to the movie than what was originally intended. So yeah, this movie has a lot of problems, and yeah, it's probably the most flawed Star Wars movie, and I just absolutely hate it. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker is at number 11. It's extremely awful. Um, but yeah, number 10. Um, Number 10 is The Last Jedi. Another really bad movie. Um, this one is, even though it's a mess, it's not quite as bad as The Rise of Skywalker. But like with that one, I don't think any of these new characters are any sort of interesting whatsoever. I think they're all pretty boring, and throughout the entire sequel trilogy, I've had a problem with Kylo Ren. I think he is one of the weakest Star Wars villains ever. Not in terms of power. Well, yeah, probably in his actual power, but just the overall character. I think he's just sort of he's like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe his character, but he's like, I guess he's just thrown in there for the edgy, adult, the edgy teens. Like, oh look, he's so cool, he's edgy and stuff. But he's really just a really pathetic character, in my opinion. And in this one, it really shows. Like this, and the next one I have, like he throws some pretty big temper tantrums. And it's very embarrassing when the main villain starts throwing a temper tantrum and just wrecking havoc just because he lost a battle or something. It's very non professional villain like in terms of movie villains, I guess. But yeah, I just have a lot of problems with this one as well. And here's the thing. This movie and The Rise of Skywalker are so boring, and the fact that and also just so aggravating to the point where I've only watched this one and then the other one once, and that's when they were in theaters. So there are some points in both movies where I kind of get confused on what in certain aspects of what happens in this one, what happens in the other one. One of the main things I have a problem with besides the things I just mentioned, is Superman Princess Leia. What the hell were they thinking? Like, they, first off, whenever in the original trilogy was Leia ever force sensitive? She wasn't. They just threw that shit in there just because. And of course, the scene I'm talking about is where she gets jettisoned into space. Then she starts flying like Superman, and it's absolutely ridiculous and just really just makes the whole character just kind of stupid in this one. Like, not necessarily that the character was stupid, but the way the character was presented in terms of, oh, she randomly has the Force now is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's just I don't know, it's just overall stupid. But yeah, I hate this movie as well. It just has almost the same amount of problems as The Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, another really terrible movie. All right, number 9. Number 9 is The Force Awakens. This one isn't necessarily a terrible movie, but it is a pretty bad one. One of the main issues I have about this one, is that it's a shameless ripoff of A New Hope. Like, the director was so scared to try anything different, to the point where they just were like, oh, let's play it safe and rip off, a pre-existing movie in the franchise. And yeah, it's a shameless ripoff of A New Hope. Hold on. Like, here's the thing. They have a Death Star they have to destroy. Again. Oh, someone got, information on an easy way to destroy it. Again. A starship battle just to get to the thing to destroy it. Again. A random, somewhat, seemingly nobody that realizes, oh, wait, I'm the chosen one, and, oh, I have the Force, and I have to save the day. Again. But yeah, there's just so much repeat of A New Hope that it just really is kind of boring. And again, it's a ripoff, it's a rehash of A New Hope. And I don't want. Here's the thing: if I want a new Star Wars movie, I want them. Even if it's bad, I still like that they try something new. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want I don't want something that's pretty much A New Hope Part 2. But yeah, it's just, I hate it. It's kind of boring, and again, it's a shameless ripoff of A New Hope. Yep, another pretty bad one. Alright, number 9. Wait, am I at number 9? Hold on. Oh, sorry, no, I'm at number 8. Number 8 is Rogue One. Another one that's kind of boring, but this movie isn't boring, it's also extremely unnecessary. Like, this is pretty much just a side plot on how the rebels got hold of the, Death Star plans. No one asked for this movie, no one wanted it, but for some reason it was made. Again, for the most part, the characters are very bland and forgettable. Really, the only good thing about this movie is the very end with Darth Vader and how it probably is the most badass he's ever been in a Star Wars movie. Like, he chases after the rebels. He goes down this hallway. People are running away. It's dark in the hallway. Then all of a sudden, a beam of red shoots up, and Darth Vader's lightsaber ignites. And then he just starts wrecking havoc on the soldier guys, and just Force throwing them all over the place and cutting them in half and stuff. But yeah, that's really the only good moment in the entire movie. Like I said, the rest of it is just extremely boring and forgettable, and so are the characters. But yeah. All right, number 7. Number 7 is Solo: A Star Wars Story. This one is a decent film. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. But it is something that is, it passes, for the most part. I think it's decent. Probably my favorite thing about this movie is the actors who play young Han Solo and young Lando Calrissian. I think they're the highlights of the movie. They're so good. They're so believable as those characters in their youth. But the movie surrounding them is kind of meh. Um, Hold on. Sorry. Anyway, technical difficulties. I thought the camera froze, but apparently not. Alright, so we're good. Anyway, but yeah, these two characters are the highlight of the entire film. The rest is just kind of meh. Um, but yeah. Alright. Alright, number 6. Number 6 is one that I think most people will have extremely low on this list. But I actually really like it. And that's the Phantom Menace. Now, this one does, of course, have its problems. I think Jar Jar Binks is just one of those characters that was thrown in and not really, I don't think George Lucas really sort of had the foresight to see how annoying this character actually is. Again, he's supposed to be the comic relief, but it fails miserably. There's just a lot of with Jar Jar, for some reason, there's just a lot of poop and fart jokes. It's extremely immature. I mean, I don't know. Jar Jar just again was supposed to be comic relief, but ended up just being extremely annoying. Um, as for the rest of the movie, for the most part, it's pretty good. The only other thing I don't like is that there's just too much sitting around talking about space politics. But everything else is great. I love pretty much every other character except for Jar Jar. I think Jake Lloyd as young Anakin does really well. Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon is probably the best character in this entire movie. This guy, I can't. Ian McGregor. There we go. I think that's his name. I completely forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he does a really good job as a young Obi-Wan. Natalie Portman does a pretty good job as Queen Amidala. The battle scenes, the fight scenes, the lightsaber stuff, and just the space ship fights in general are all pretty good. But yeah, it does have its flaws, but for the most part, it's pretty enjoyable. Alright, number 5. This probably is the most hated Star Wars film, and that's Attack of the Clones. Now, I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I actually really enjoy it. I think it's actually better than The Phantom Menace, to be honest. Yeah, sure, there's some cheesy dialogue between Anakin and Padme, but everything else about this movie is extremely good and just very entertaining. The spaceship battles, great. Lightsaber duels, great. The CGI in this movie, I think, is a little bit more improved than The Phantom Menace. Yeah, it actually holds up pretty well. And then the few practical effects that are in here are also really good. All around, all in all, it's just an extremely enjoyable movie, and I absolutely love watching it again and again and again. But yeah, that's at number 5. Sorry, I lost track there. But yeah, it's at number 5. Alright, number 4. Hold on. Number 4 is Star Wars A New Hope, or just Star Wars, depending on what era you are from. But yeah, this is one of the very few perfect Star Wars movies. Great introduction to the world. Great introduction to all the main characters. I think everyone does an amazing job in this film. Not just the actors, but the special effects people, the actual cinematography, and just the overall amazing directing in this movie. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's just a really great movie. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the score by what is his name again? John Williams. Sorry, I forgot his name. But yeah, John Williams is amazing and extremely iconic. The Darth Vader theme, very cool. But my favorite bit of music in the soundtrack to this movie is that bit when Luke is still on Tatooine, and he's sort of looking off into the distance at the double sunset. And that bit of music plays there in that scene. That's probably my favorite any music bit in this movie. I love that score. But yeah, all in all, a perfect movie. It's not. I mean, it's up there in one of my absolute favorites, but it's not my number one or anything. But it's still a fantastic movie and definitely one of the best movies of all time. But yeah, that's at number 4. All right, number 3. Number 3 is Revenge of the Sith. Now this movie is extremely special to me. Mainly because it was the very first Star Wars film I ever saw. Now, everyone has their Star Wars movie, their Star Wars movie, the one that they watched for the first time, before any other Star Wars movies, the one that they grew up with, the one that they just have such good memories, from. This is my Star Wars movie. This is the thing I grew up with. The first Star Wars film that I watched, and, I watched it, and then I just fell in love with this franchise. People have their Star Wars movie. The people who grew up with the, prequels, their Star Wars movie, is either this or A New Hope. The people who grew up with, who are growing up with the Disney Star Wars sequels, one of those is their Star Wars film. Even the older generation who grew up with the original 3 movies, one of those 3 movies is, people's, Star Wars movie. This is mine. This is my Star Wars movie. Now, this came out in 2003. I was about, 6? I didn't see this in theaters, but I did see this, uh, a few years after. I just love this movie. Again, there's some cheesy dialogue here and there, but it doesn't really bother me. The special effects, both, actual, physical effects and, CGI are all really, really good for the most part. The lightsaber duel scene at the end between Obi-Wan and Anakin is the best lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars. General Grievous is a great villain, but unfortunately he's extremely underused in this movie. But yeah, all in all, a very fun film. I have very fond memories with this one. Yeah, this is a big part of my childhood. Also, at the time, I did have pretty much every single Revenge of the Sith Lego set. Like, I used to have almost all of them, I think, except for one. I even had the Mustafar duel set. But yeah, that just shows you how big of an impact this had in my childhood. But yeah, I absolutely love it, and it's at my number 3 spot. Number 2. Now, my number 2 and my number 1 flip-flopped constantly. Sometimes my number 1 is one of these movies. Sometimes it's my number 2. Again, they kind of go back and forth constantly. But at this moment in time, my second favorite Star Wars movie is The Empire Strikes Back. Another great Star Wars movie, another perfect one. Again, it's one of the best movie sequels of all time. But you can kind of say that for both this and my number 1. Great film. Another fantastic lightsaber duel. Probably my second favorite in the entire franchise, with Luke versus Vader. In Cloud City, and sort of the what do you call it? The what do you call it? I guess you can call it the electrical system rooms. There's like all these like cables and stuff, and there's that little pit where they throw Han Solo in, and he comes up encased in carbonite. But, that area is just so cool. I love the atmosphere in that battle. Just the dark, dingy areas with some, streaks of, red or orange light here and there. Of course, this has the famous quote that's constantly misquoted. The Luke, I am your father quote, which is actually not how it is. It's no, Luke, I am your father. But yeah, just a really good movie, very iconic movie sequel. Also, probably one of my favorite things about this movie is just the overall set, the set design overall. Hoth, Cloud City, just everything looks really, really cool in this one. And the acting again, just like in all three of the original Star Wars movies, is superb. Everyone involved does a great job. But yeah, it's at my number 2. Alright, my number 1 is Return of the Jedi. This is a fitting end to a movie series. Like, I watch, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and then 6, and then that's pretty much it. I don't think the series needed to continue in terms of going forward. Yeah, sure, the prequels were really good in terms of telling the backstory on stuff that happened before. In terms of going forward in the franchise, I think it should have ended with this one. It's just a very good story, an end to a story. Darth Vader gets redeemed at the end. He becomes Anakin Skywalker again in a really touching, sort of heartbreaking scene. In the end where Darth Vader does sort of, speak to Luke for the last time before he dies and stuff. It's a very touching scene. And believe it or not, there's an extended version in the original script that ended up in the novelization of this one. I'm not going to spoil it, but read the novelization to Return of the Jedi. And near the end, you'll find like the extended scene where Darth Vader talks to Luke for the last time before he dies. It's even more sort of heartbreaking. But yeah, it's really one of the few times in a movie that it made me cry. Kind of like with the death of Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Destroyer. But yeah, it's a very touching end and a very fitting end to the franchise. Also, again, just like with every movie in the original trilogy, great set design, great acting, great special effects. Also, one of my favorite movie monsters of all time, the Rancor. Again, another great design. But yeah, all in all, it's my favorite Star Wars movie, and I think it's the best movie. But yeah. So, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.